It is finally time to declutter my eyeshadow collection, so if that is something you want to watch, then please stick around.
Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Catherine. I'm a beauty and reselling enthusiast, and those are the things that I love to talk about. If that's something that you would like to watch, consider subscribing. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2024, and I need your help to do so. So if you're interested in my content, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, doing all those wonderful YouTube things that help a channel grow. Today's video is the fifth installment, I think I'm counting correctly, fifth installment of my declutter series this year. I will link my declutter playlist up in the corner for you if you are interested to see some of the other things I've decluttered. We've gone through powders, foundations, blushes, bronzers, highlighters, skincare. What else have we gone through? Yeah, a lot. It's been a lot. So we are finally down to our eyeshadows, which to be fair, this is like the funnest part of it all, because this, you get to see all of the different colors, you get to see different textures, all those great things. So let's jump in. All right, so let's start with the easiest picks, and that's just because it's currently in my December Shop My Stash, which I can link that video for you as well to see what other products I'm using this month. But the first one is going to be the Natasha Denona My Dream Palette. I have quite a large Natasha Denona collection. I don't know if I'm going to keep all of them, but this one I am definitely going to keep. Kind of a nice warm mixture of pinks, not really pinks, more like peaches, some browns, some purples. We have a little duochrome in the corner here, so this one will definitely be staying. What are the other ones? Another one in my Shop My Stash is the Makeup by Mario. What is this one called? The Ethereal Eyes Moonlit Palette. These typically are limited edition, so I know the first one is no longer available on their website. At least I don't think it's available on Sephora and stuff like that. But this one I believe is still out, and I'm going to link all of my eyeshadows down below, the ones that I can link. So if you do choose to, pick one of these up and I influenced you to purchase it, I'd love it if you could click my link. I do earn a small commission through it. It's at no charge to you, but it just helps this channel out. So this one is actually my first Makeup by Mario palette, and I have been loving it. The quality is really amazing. These shimmers are really just toppers, at least the shimmers that I've tried. I've yet to try this one. This one looks a little bit more like a satin shimmer, but these shimmers right here are literally just topper shades, and that is my daily go-to aesthetic for work, having a little bit of a neutral crease and then a little bit of a shimmer on top. So this palette really has it all for me, so definitely will be keeping. And then we're going to dive into, that goes with that, we're going to dive into some of the shadows that my single shadows that I currently have in my Shop My Stash. So these are all from Auric. These are the Smoke Reflex. So we have the one in Defiance, which is kind of the bronzy one, and these all have little shimmer toppers on the top. We have Temper, which is the rose gold one. I've been really loving this one lately. Just a pretty all over eyeshadow, and these are really great for traveling. Like if you are a one and done type of person, these are really great for traveling. And then we have the Ego, which is more of the kind of grayy one. So those are all going to be staying. And then, well, those are all in my Shop My Stashes, which are going to be staying. And since we're talking about Auric, let's dive into the other shades that I have. These came out for their holiday collection a few years ago. We have Entice and Disrupt. Entice is the green one. Haven't got as much use out of this one, but it's still really pretty, and I'm going to keep it. And then this is the shimmer on top, and then the other one is like a red one. Again, really pretty, great quality. And then here is the shimmer on top. These are like slightly kind of duochrome-y. These Christmas shade ones are holiday releases, a little bit duochrome-y with the shimmer. So I guess since we're talking about Single shadows. Let's just kind of stick in that realm. So let's, yeah, I think we can get them through. Okay, so we have these Dose of Colors, and I'll start with this one that is open because this one was a unsung hero to me last year. It is in the shade Slinky. These are their Block Party eyeshadows, and if you're a member of Ipsy or BoxyCharm, they usually have these at a really great discount through them. You might even be able to get the discount on Dose of Colors, maybe because they're like discontinuing them. I can't remember, but this is a really lovely like gunmetal silver type of shade. Enjoy that one. I did pick this one up from BoxyCharm. This is Jackpot. Clearly I haven't used it yet, but let's see. Ooh, okay, so kind of like an olive green. Definitely going to be keeping this one. Let's see, what other shades do we got? We're just gonna pick them up. So we have ColourPop. I have tons of these ColourPop Super Shock shadows. This one is in So Quiche. Kind of this duochrome shift to it, kind of like purple taupe. We'll be keeping that one. Most of these single shadows I'm probably going to keep if I had to guess, but we'll go through them. Then we have the ColourPop Coconut Super Shock. This is very vibrant blue metallic, which we will be keeping. We have the Rooftop Cocktails. This is their Ultra Glitter. Again, I love these kind of just like topper shades for a neutral crease. It adds a little bit of fun to everything. We have, this one is in Sequin, another ultra shimmer, kind of a coppery color. I picked these up when ColourPop was having like a super sale, so I think they're normally like $6, very relatively inexpensive, but every so often they will do sales on them where they're like 50% off. So there's $3. And not only can you get them on ColourPop, but you can also get them at Ulta and Target. I didn't even say the shade of this one. This one's Empire. This is a pearlized version. So they kind of have different versions of them. This one is in Moonwalk. This is their Ultra Metallic. We have Ripple, which is this really pretty like purple blue color. I need to show these a lot more love because these shadows don't last very long. If my blush and bronzer declutter told you anything, these can dry out really quickly. I have noticed though that it is more the matte versions that dry out quicker than any other versions. So that's why these still seem to be in relatively good condition. But again, they're not gonna last forever. So I probably shouldn't have this many, but I do, and we're just gonna roll with it. Looks like a new one I haven't even used. This one is in Ritz, and this one's a pretty classic or pretty popular color if I'm not mistaken. Let's open this up because it does look like it got a little bit broken. We'll just pat that back in there. Since we're here, we'll do a little swatchy swatch of it. Oh, gorgeous. All right, so we're gonna be keeping that one. What other ColourPop ones do we have in here? We have About Kinney, an Ultra Glitter one. Kind of more of a, why do I have hair? I think those are just like little, nope, is that hair? I don't know, like plastic hairs. This one is more of like a bronzy, coppery type of shade. Any more ColourPop? I know we have a duochrome. I haven't even used this one yet. This is the Chrome in the shade Bliss. Let's swatch that one out. So I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it has this like little shifty purple to gold. Ooh, okay. Can we see the shift? I can see it in person. don't know if it's translating on the camera, but that's pretty. Okay. Some other multi-chromes that I've kept. I did do a video on these. So I've done a previous video on these multi-chromes. So we have the LA Girl shade shifters, the eyeshadows, the duochrome eyeshadows. We have the liquid shadows, and then we have a Profusion one. I decluttered a lot of the Profusion ones last year. I just felt like they were kind of, what's the word? They weren't good. They a little streaky. That's the word I'm looking for. A little bit streaky, except this one, this kind of light one in Zen, just because it's a lighter color, it just pops a little bit more. But these other ones are actually really nice. I just don't get a lot of use out of them. I really should, as I break them, I really should get some more use out of these. So I'm gonna try. We're gonna try. So I am gonna save those. All right, one I know I'm going to declutter. This is the Eye Dazzle by, I think the brand is called Eye Dazzle, and the shade is Leona. So here is our first declutter of this video. And then we have some melts. These are their gel liners. I don't know if I've tried this one yet. This kind of coppery shade. I don't think I'm not gonna keep that one. This one is in Prissy. This is their Metal Bond Gel Liner. So I think I'm going to pass on that one. One that I need to show more love. This is the Tom Ford Cream Color for Eyes. This one is in Platinum. A really, really beautiful color. As you can see, I've gotten quite a good use out of that. So we will keep that one. We have another Melt Ultra Matte Gel Liner. This one is Onyx. This one I'm going to keep. This is a really nice matte liner for like dramatic wings. We have the Ultra Matte Gel Liner in Fortune. So kind of, ooh, that's really dry. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that one. That's unfortunate. Let me check the black one now. Why is there all these like little plasticky hairs, fibers? Okay, the black one still seems to be in good condition. So we'll keep the black one, but we'll get rid of the green one. One that I know we'll be keeping is Moon Dust. This is Urban Decay's Moon Dust in Space Cowboy. This is their single one, which probably is a dupe for, I'm looking at the ColourPop once again. No, that one's a Green Shift. I feel like there is a ColourPop dupe for this. Was this the Ritz one? No, so quiche. What did I just had it? This one, Ritz. So this one is Ritz. Let's put them side by side to see what they look like, because they seem kind of similar. They are very similar. So kind of has that like a little bit of a peachy base to it with some just shimmer. So, and this is like a $24 single eyeshadow. Most of the time on Ulta, like during their 21 days of beauty, you can get this 50% off. But you may want to consider this one, Ritz, from ColourPop, because as you can see, it's practically the same thing. So if you want a little bit of a dupey for you. This last one from ColourPop is Scandal. This is their Jelly Mud Shadow. This does not have any jelly left in it. It's very dried out, but still usable. And you could put like, I know there's some, what is it, the ink lot or something like that you can put it in and make it more jelly. But I actually don't prefer the jelly part of it because I have somewhat oily eyes. Not somewhat, I have very oily eyes, so it creases pretty easily. So this actually works really well that it's dried out. I mean, you're still getting pigment from it, so I still enjoy it, so we're gonna keep it around. All right, and then we have some liquid eyeshadows. We have Chromium Liquid Eyeshadow from Natasha Denona. This one is in Scarab. I'm going to keep. Then we have this one from e.l.f. This is in Dirty Martini. Let's see what that looks like again. Kind of this like brown olive color. Really, really pretty. And then we have this green color, which is called Aurora. Okay, that one seems a little bit dry, so we're gonna get rid of that one, but we'll keep Dirty Martini. All right, so we kept a lot more than we got rid of, but you know, that's okay. I don't have any set expectations of how many I'm going to be getting rid of, and I also figure I'm gonna get rid of more palettes than single shadows, which usually take up a little bit more room. So now we're going to move forward with kind of my eye sticks and whatever else is around here. Sometimes this is a catch-all for some other products. So first we have the Thrive Cosmetics Brilliant Eye Brightener in Stella. And I said that last year I was going to use this as an inner corner highlight. And how many times did I use this as an inner corner highlight? Which is 0. So I still have the ambitions that I want to do that, use it for that. So I'm gonna keep it. And then these two I know I'm gonna keep, and I actually think they're discontinued now. These are the Sigma eyeshadow base primers. I have one in Persuade, which is a little bit more of a pinky flesh tone for me type of shade. And then we have Earthen, which is slightly cool tone like brown. So I am going to keep these. I think these work really nicely, but I feel like they're discontinued because I cannot find them to link. Whenever I do link them through Sigma, it's always out of stock, and these shades like don't exist anymore. This one I'm going to get rid of. This is the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick. I got this in one of my subscription boxes. This one is in the shade Bed of Roses. It's a little bit more of a pinky shimmer shade. I don't really like that, so I am going to get rid of that one. And stuff like that is new, I am going to send to You For Me. They resell it for me, and I can earn a small return of investment on it. So new products definitely don't go to waste. All of my other used products, if they're still usable, they will be dispersed elsewhere, but my new products I will resell. Then we have this Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer in, it's their Triangular Brow Definer in medium brown. Let's see. I have my go-to brow, my brow products, and that is the Kosas Air Brow. That's kind of my favorite that I like. And so I don't know how much I'm gonna want to try something new, so I think I'm gonna get rid of that one. All right, now we have the Nabla Cupid's Arrow. This is their full color stylo in Arrow with number 4, which is black. And to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like, it is the same as this one. This is their nude one, so it's kind of like a chunkier little crayon, if you will. But do I need to keep a black one? I don't think so, because if I was going to use it in the way that I think I'm going to use it, because this is pretty chunky to do eyeliner in my opinion. This is something you can use as eyeliner, lip liner, kind of all over the face. That's how they describe it. But the black one I would use as like a base for darker colors, and I would probably just use my Melt gel liner as that. I feel like you'd get the same concept. So I think I'm gonna get rid of the black one. But what do I want to do with this nude one? Because I feel like I haven't really used it either. And the Sigma ones, I like this shade a little bit better than this one. So is this gonna be a nice lip liner? I don't know. That might actually be a really nice lip liner. So I might, you can't even see it. That actually might be a really nice lip liner. So I think I'm going to maybe put that in that box. That might be what I do. All right, we have some more products. This one is the About Face Matte Fluid Eye Paint in the shade Swell Before Rain. No, Smell smell before rain. Okay. Let's see. That one is a little bit like, that's an interesting color because I'm seeing gray, I'm seeing green, and I'm seeing brown from it. And I don't know if I like that on me. It kind of looks a little bruisey, does it not? So I think I'm gonna get rid of that one. We have some other products that are, again, just kind of random products. The Essence Make Me Brow, the Eyebrow Gel Mascara. This is probably expired. I know I was using it for a while until my Kosas Airbrow came back in, thinking it was going to be a good dupe, and it's not like an exact dupe. It's all right, especially for the price, but not something I'm going to keep. Then we have this YC Collection Eye Primer. Not going to keep that. And then we have this Jouer Cream Eyeshadow Crayon in the shade Baroque. So let's test that out. That is really pretty, but I feel like, what do I feel? Ooh, now I'm looking at, sorry, I'm squirrel moments. I'm looking at the e.l.f. one and it just looks a little bit patchy. So I think I'll get rid of that other e.l.f. in Dirty Martini. But what do I think about this one? I feel like this shade I have in Tom Ford. Yeah, which I like a little bit better. So I'm gonna keep the Tom Ford one and I will declutter the Jouer one as well as, where to go, this e.l.f. one right here. All right, I just had myself a little breakfast break because my stomach was growling. I don't know if you could hear it in the video, but I had to take care of that. So resuming with our declutter, I am going to declutter this Marc Jacobs. This is their iconic Terrific palette. This was a limited edition palette. Just this really pretty kind of red leaning color story. It was really nice. I don't really gravitate towards these colors anymore. So it's just not for me. So I am going to declutter this one. Another one I know I'm going to declutter, and this is the Just My Luck from ColourPop. This is one of their monochromatic palettes, and this is a really pretty green palette, and I do still love this color story. It's just not performing as well as it used to. The shadows are a little bit dry, and I kept it around probably a little bit longer than I should have because I absolutely love this color, Mary Jane. And I feel like I'm having deja vu because I talked about this last year, trying to find a shade that is just like Mary Jane. And I think I concluded that this Scandal shade is pretty close to it. This jelly much one that doesn't have any jelly in it. So I am going to declutter this one. And that kind of kicks off our other ColourPop little mini palettes. So we have the Orchid You Not. This is kind of the purple palette. This is really pretty. Not one that I get a whole lot of use out of because but it does have a lot of pretty colors that I don't really have in other palettes. So for that reason, I'm going to, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep this? Okay, that still feels very buttery. Okay, for some reason I thought that was going to be dry as hell. But that is very buttery and still performs. Let's try this shimmer. Yeah. Okay, so these are still performing pretty well. So I'm gonna keep this one. And then we have an OG classic. This is the Going Coconuts one. This is just their neutral, a little warm leaning palette. So beautiful. Just really great color story. So I will be keeping that one. The one thing I don't like about this packaging though is, can we see it's a little bit warping? So it's probably leading to some of these shadows drying out. We have Strawberry Shake. This is more of a hot pink peach palette. I think I can get rid of this one. Again, I just don't gravitate towards colors like this on my eyes, so I'm okay Okay, getting rid of this one. Moving forward with the Baby Got Peach. Obviously a very peach leaning palette. Again, I think I'm okay decluttering this one. The one shade that I really like this palette for is this Ready or Yacht shade, but it's not worth keeping for a whole palette. So I'm gonna declutter that one too. Then we have our Child palette. This is their Star Wars and Mandalorian collaboration that came out, gosh, like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now. This is still a really pretty palette, and I'm not quite ready to let it go. Again, I'm such a sucker for packaging too, so I think the packaging is great. The color story is really great. This one seems to be pulling up a little bit, so let's press her back down. While we're at it, we'll have a little swatchy swatch. It seems like it's still swatching really nicely, so I'm gonna keep this. Another OG palette that I absolutely love. This is from That's Taupe. Oops. And this is more of their taupe cooling color story, a little bit rosy too, so I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. This is one of my favorite ColourPop ones, probably more than Going Coconuts too. And then we have the Grandeur palette. This came in trio. It's like Grandeur, Baroque, and I forget what the other one was called. I did declutter the other two. Did I have all three of them? I know I at least had the Baroque one, which was kind of a like blue steel gray type of color story, and I didn't really vibe with it. But this one's a little bit more of their like warmer color story, and I still think it's really pretty. I could do without a pressed glitter, but you know, I think the colors are still really pretty. I really love the packaging of it, so I am going to keep that one. Now we'll get into some of our Melt Cosmetics. We have plenty of other Melt Cosmetics to go through, but as you can see, these are kind of like more of my mini palettes that I keep up here, and then we'll get towards the bigger palettes in a little bit. But this is Melt and the Frankenstein palette. This just came out this holiday season. I should say Halloween holiday season. I did do a swatching video of this, so if you're curious to know, I'm actually going to leave my playlist for you because there's going to be a lot of swatching videos, and so if I can remember, I'll tell you which ones that I swatched before, and you can refer to that playlist to check it out. So I'll also leave it down below too. So the editing, Catherine, make sure you put it down below too. But this is so pretty. I love kind of the unexpected greens in here with the more of the neutral tones and stuff like this. And when I swatched this out, this had really great, this is like the great melt quality compared to some of their other palettes, which I always say that sometimes I've noticed in their previous palettes is that either the shimmers really are great performers and the mattes not so much, or vice versa. But I felt like with this one, both performed really well. So there was some fallout with the shimmers on this one, but it's kind of to be expected. But this is a really great one, and I loved the packaging of this. And then the other one in that collection was the Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is a little quad, and this is what it looks like. Again, this one performed really well, so I will be keeping that. Another kind of unsung hero for me, this is the YSL Couture Mini Clutch, and I believe the shade or the color story, it's in 100, which I believe is Store Dolls, if I'm not mistaken. And again, it's just a neutral palette. It is, but I've traveled with this one so many times. This is just it's good quality. What I will say is the quality is a little bit interesting. I feel like it performs better when you use your fingers to apply it compared to a brush, especially these actually I would say probably all three of these. You can still use a brush, but I notice it just, how the formula is, it just works better when you use your finger. It's kind of like a really soft formula. So when you use your fingers, it just, it just performs better. So that would be my only, I guess, PSA about it, is that it works better with your fingers. But this is a really pretty color story. It is neutral, but it works really well, and I love the packaging. Moving on to Odin's Eye. This is their one of their mini eyeshadow palettes in Erd. This is their green palette. Super pretty, but I have only used it like once or twice, and to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of these two shadows in the middle. I mean, they're shimmer shadows, but they're kind of like chunky shimmers. And then this one is what I really like about this palette, is this deep green one. Oh, that's really pretty. Here's that other one. Just more of a chunky glitter. Oh, that green is gorgeous. All right, I have a few other palettes that have kind of greens like this, so we'll put this in the maybe pile. I know I just said don't keep a palette just for one shade, but I might be keeping a palette for just one shade. Actually, give me 1 second. I know it was this Empire. I feel like this isn't as dark green. No, this is more tealy. Ooh, that's dry. Oh no. Oh no, these are dry. Okay. That one's gonna be decluttered. Now I have to go through all of them again. Oh, that's such a shame. Okay. Now, let me quickly go through these. I thought they were a-okay, but clearly they weren't. That Empire one is dry. This one feels dry. I mean, it still kind of performs, but it seems a little dry. Okay, so maybe we'll put that in the maybe pile. This blue one, dry. I mean, you can still use them, but they're, this is so disappointing. All right, Ritz we know works because we already swatched that one. What is this one? Rooftop Cocktails. Oh, I'm so bummed. That one's dry. I mean, it's not as dry as the other ones. Okay, we'll keep that one because that one's not as dry as the other ones, but it's getting on the dry side. What's this one? Abbott Kenny. Dry. Get rid of that one. So quiche. Okay, this one, good. You'll feel a clear difference because it like is soft and almost putty like. And then the other ones were had a very dry texture to them. So we'll keep that one. What's this one? Moonwalk. Dry. Oh. And then this one was Sequin. Not dry. But I don't know if I like that copper color now that I think about it. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that one just because of the color, not because it's bad or anything. All right, so maybe I'm glad that I swatched that one because then it made me go in and swatch the other ones. Let me really quickly, swatch these. I know these aren't ColourPop, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, those are still in working condition. Okay. Ugh, so sad. All right, so we're adding 5 more to the declutter pile because they're dry. Now I'm just like sad. But we had to move on. All right, moving forward. So we have this Viseart Petite Pro Trois. Viseart has some good quality shadows, but I was just sharing, I just filmed my last beauty haul of the year. If it's live, I will link it for you. If not, I'll just tell you what I said. Is that I bought another Viseart palette, this Serenus palette, and I say Viseart is very consistent. They have very consistent quality, but they're kind of boring in a sense. And I say that because of the shimmers specifically. The shimmers are just kind of I mean, they're good shimmers, but they don't really have
different textures to them. They don't really have like super foiled or metallic. I mean, because look at this one. I know there's a shade difference, but this one from Oden's just looks more impactful, just like really opaque. And then this is a shimmer from this palette from Viseart, and it's nice. It's a great quality. It's just not as like impactful as some other brands. So good quality, a little boring though. And a lot of things kind of look the same. So when it comes down to this one, I like their smaller palettes, but I don't think I need this one. I can let go of this palette. All right, we're letting go. We're letting go of a palette. And then here are some of my other Viseart ones. So let's see how I feel about it. So this is the Minx et Entendu. So this one is a little bit more of a warm peachy palette. Because I got rid of the Baby Got Peach one from ColourPop, this one has a very similar kind of peach color that I like. So, and I want to have some sort of like warm peaches because I have a feeling that's probably going to come back around. I feel like right now we're kind of in our like cool toned era. So when I think of trends, like I don't want to, because that's kind of what I'm gravitating towards too, more like neutral cool tones, but that doesn't mean I want to get rid of all of my warm tones, because I know it's going to come back around and my preferences are going to change. So I think I'm going to keep this one for right now. That may change next year, who knows. We have the Soleil La Plage, and this one is a really pretty, just like fun day at the beach. I mean, that's what La Plage means in French, is the beach. And this definitely represents that, but I don't really get along with yellow eyeshadows. It just doesn't work for my coloring. So although this is a fun palette and I feel like the quality is really great, I don't think it works. The color store works for me. So we'll get rid of that one. And then we are coming to the Cashmere one. Let's see. And so this one is a little bit broken. Really pretty kind of neutral tone with some purples in there. Like, I would say not vibrant, just kind of middle of the road. I don't know. This doesn't excite me. This doesn't excite me whatsoever. So I think that is an indication that I should get rid of it. Wow. Okay. Was not expecting to be getting rid of some Viseart palettes. Huh. And I guess while we're talking about it, this is the Viseart palette that I got. Like I said, this is the Sarah News Entendu one. Interesting. So maybe that tells me I shouldn't be picking up Viseart anymore because they're kind of boring. Great quality, but just kind of boring. But did I just pick another one up? Yes, I did. Yeah, like I said, this is kind of more neutral cool eating, so I picked it up. Hopefully this isn't in my declutter next year. Who knows? All right, so we'll put that there for now. This is kind of like a little unexpected quad that I really enjoyed from BH Cosmetics. This is their Iceland one. And again, I've brought this traveling with me before. I think it's really nice. I don't know if I've ever even swatched that one. I guess we'll swatch it now. Doesn't perform super well. Yeah, but these other ones I really like. So again, kind of more of a travel companion palette, very neutral eye looks, and you can jazz it up a little bit with the shimmer. Let me see if the shimmer still works. Okay, yeah, that still works really well. So we're gonna keep this one because I like having these little quads to travel with. All right, and this little guy, I don't know why I always keep him in this box, but this is from I probably keep it in this box so I don't lose it because look how teeny tiny it is. This is actually from Sigil Inspired. This is a Russian brand. I don't even know if they make anything anymore. When I first started getting into makeup, they kind of came out with these animal palettes every so often, and I really enjoyed this one. And this is the snake one, and I cannot tell you what any of this means, but I really liked because they had these different sizes. And at that time I was getting a lot of eyeshadow and didn't know where to put it. So I was like, I'd like a small one because I knew what the color story. Let me show you the color story. This is the color story. I'm never gonna go through a full palette of this color story. So I was like, you know what, let's just do a small one. And it's so, I mean, I have small hands and it fits in my hand. It's so cute. But now that I think about it, let me swatch this shade, because this one I was thinking would be a good one for this, the Erd one, but it still doesn't quite have that same impact. This one has more of this like forest green, and this one has more tealy. What about this one? Ooh, that one's more duochromy. Okay. So these are definitely special shades that I don't use on the everyday basis, but still really pretty shades that I'm going to keep. I was looking in the box that I kept everything with, and now I realize why I kept it in the box. So they they included this other one that I don't really know why they included it. Maybe one of the shades was not the right shade, so they added this one in, the 102. But it's sigil inspired by Tammy Tenuka. That is what the brand is. So this is the shade 102, which is not in there. Let me maybe swatch that one and see. Still not quite, you can't see that. Still not quite the same effect that I'm going for. Okay, but we'll keep this little guy, and I guess we will keep it in its little packaging too. So now I know why I kept this little packaging. All right, so let's go through some of my mini Natasha Denona palettes. Say it with me. Love these for travel. And typically they're the same great Natasha Denona quality. So the top one is the My Mini Dream palette. I think I have a swatching video of this one too. And kind of this like neutral, cooler leaning tones to it. I will tell you, with the mini ones, you have to be aware that some of these shades are existing shades in the big palettes, and then sometimes they are new shades that are supposed to complement the palette. And everyone's a little bit different. So when you decide to, purchase one of these, if you have a large Natasha Denona collection, you may want to compare the shade names to the other palettes you may have. So My Mini Dream, we have Mini Glam, both I'm going to be keeping. We have the Mini Love palette. I haven't gotten a lot of use out of this one in a long time. And again, I don't super love these shades anymore. Oh gosh, it still looks so creamy still. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of this Mini Love one. That was unexpected. Then we have the Mini Gold palette. So they did, you'll see it in a little while. I'm looking at my other palettes I gotta go through. So they just came out with the Golden palette, which was supposed to be like a remake of the Gold palette. Now with the Gold palette, they had a mixture of like neutrals and greens and stuff like that. Just like a really interesting color story. I never had that palette, but I've seen it multiple times in other people's collections, and it's a really beautiful palette. And then they reworked it this year, and now it's strictly a neutral palette. There are no greens in it whatsoever. So I actually picked this up on, I don't know if it was Natasha Denona's website or Beautylish or somewhere, because this one was sold out or just discontinued. And so I got my hands on it because I really liked kind of the gold and green mixture of things. So I think I'm going to keep this one around. Although I haven't gotten a lot of use out of it, I think it's wearable greens and nudes compared to that sigil inspired one, which is very impactful greens. And then we have the Mini Retro palette. So that is what this one looks like. And it's very interesting because the retro palette, like the MIDI version of this, looks nothing like this. They did come out with a retro glam one, I think. Again, you'll see it coming up, but it doesn't look like the actual retro palette. What do I want to do with this one though? I think I want to keep this one still. We'll keep this one. All right. Then we have some Huda Beauty. I don't have any of the large Huda Beauty palettes. I had one and it was okay, but I decluttered it a while ago. The only ones I have left are these 9-pan ones, and according to Huda Beauty herself, she did release her last large palette, I think it was the Icy Nude. Just none of those color stories really spoke to me, so I never really picked them up. And then the quality is okay. It's, you know, it's not my favorite quality, but it's still okay. So this one is the chocolate brown one, and again, got this because of the beautiful tortoise packaging. More of this like warm nude peachy type of vibe. So again, makes me feel okay getting rid of that Baby Got Peach one. Let's see, we're just kind of spot testing these now. That still performs pretty well. Okay. What about this one? Yeah, that's still good. So I think I'm I'll keep this one. And then we have another one. This is the Wild Jaguar. Jaguar. Jaguar or Jaguar, however you pronounce it. Again, beautiful packaging, kind of this lenticular type of packaging, and then you open it up and it is more of a cooler tone type of look. So with our spot testing, how is this performing? Not super well. Not super well at all. Let's try that one. It's like okay. Okay, I think I can get rid of this one. The performance of it isn't super great, so I'm gonna get rid of it. So we had to take a pause to clean off my arm, so disregard this like very red splotchiness because some of those shadows really hung on there, especially those dry ColourPop ones. Anywho, moving forward, we have some Charlotte Tilbury. This is their Easy Eye palette for the Charlotte Darling look. So we have kind of this warm toned brown rosy shades. I think I've used this once and it was okay. I don't remember anything being super wonderful about it. So with that being said, I can declutter it. We have another Charlotte Tilbury one. This is the Queen of Glow, a luxury palette. So this is one of her little quads, and again, kind of more of this like copper warm tone type of things. She loves to stick to her warm tones, in my opinion, but the quality of the shadows aren't super thrilling. The color stories don't really intrigue me, so I think I'm gonna get rid of this one too, which means I don't think I have any Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow palettes anymore. There is one that I want to get. It's almost exactly like this, the Eyes to Mesmerize in Oyster, I think. I do want to kind of look into that. So you can't see it on camera, but I do have some bigger palettes this way. So let's start with my Shroud Cosmetics ones, and these are in collaboration with Baddie Bean. She's a really nice creator on YouTube that I like to watch, and she did a collaboration with Shroud Cosmetics, 2 collaborations. This one is the It's Freaking Bats, and it was the first one, and then Halloween was the second one. Now Shroud Cosmetics, don't really know what's going on with them. They've kind of like fallen off the face of the earth. Just haven't made anything new, aren't shipping palettes apparently. I don't really know what's happening with them. So the reason I'm going to keep these isn't because of Shroud, it's because of Baddie Bean, and I like the color story, and I love Halloween themed palettes, and I love them so much that I did a ranking of them, which I can link up for you if you're curious to know which Halloween palette ranked #1. But this is definitely one of them that I included in that video. Just super cute color story. I like, I don't know how to say that. This isn't an everyday color story for me. This isn't neutral by any means, but I just love these like pops of color. And that the one that I was talking about in just my look palette, that Mary Jane, this one is also a really good alternative for it. So something I'm going to keep because I just love the color story. I do have hard times making looks with these palettes, just because I don't feel like me personally can get a full look with it, with how I like to do my eyeshadows, but I still really enjoy the palettes and the quality is really great. So this is the Halloween one, their second palette, and definitely more of a kind of traditional color story. This Black Flame shade, oh, so cool. It's like black base with like orange and red duochrome, and then Ghoulish is like a transparent base with like green shift to it. Really, really pretty. So those two will be staying. Something I mentioned in my my last makeup palette, my last beauty haul, is that I accidentally got sent this from Kaleidos. I had ordered a few other things and this got sent to me too. And I think they sent me somebody else's package on accident, and I let them know about it because I wanted good karma in my life. And they told me to keep the palette. So this is what is the palette called? The Twilight Rush. Oh, they actually put the names of it now. I know some people were really upset that they didn't put the names of them on the back, but they do now. So this is what this looks like. And it is a very gray, purple leaning palette. And this is too cool tone for me and something I don't think I'm ever going to use. So I am going to get rid of that one. In all fairness, I did not order that one. That one just came to me. So yeah. A Kaleidos palette that I know that I will keep, and I treasure this with fond memories, and I really wish Kaleidos would come back to this type of color story and this funness that they have. But this is a Kaleidos Flower Punk, and why I say I have such fond memories is because this was the first like super colorful palette that I purchased before everything was very nude. And I remember seeing this come up like on Trendmood, or one of those like makeup sites that tells you the new beauty products that are coming out, and they featured this one, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. And even my husband was like, that is really cool, I really hope that you get that. So any encouragement of makeup buying by my husband, I'm definitely going to be keeping. And the color story is still really pretty. I really do love it. It's just a mixture of grungy pastels. The artwork is super beautiful. It's really cool. This the top of it comes off, and I just wish Kaleidos would get back to this fun type of releases. Let's do a quick shimmer check. Still performs pretty well. It doesn't seem to be as opaque as it used, like I remember it being, but still good. So we will keep that one around. Here is another Kaleidos palette. This is their Futurism 3 Astro Pink. These they no longer make. Like, they used to have a whole Astro collection of really cool palettes. This is the only one that I actually ended up picking up, and I don't think I need this anymore. That blue is really pretty. It's kind of like a blue purple, but I don't think I need this. I don't. So I am going to declutter that one. One palette that is relatively new to me is the Oden's Eye and Lauren May Beauty palette. This is the Sea Talk palette. So this is their like collaborator palettes. They had 3 of them. And this was what Lauren's color story was. So beautiful. This is so pretty. I think she did a great job of mixing, fun colors with like neutral colors, and just kind of making a really fun palette. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this. And as you can tell, this incandescent shell got good use out of it. It is a little chunky monkey, but the color of it is like a blue, pink with blue and purple shifts in it. So pretty. So pretty. So we'll keep that. Another new to me palette, this is the Galactic Visitor. This is Singed Beauty's first palette. I do have a swatching video on this one if you're curious, but let's show you what the color story looks like. I mean, packaging, 100%. Love this packaging. And then you pop it open, and again, it's kind of this mixture of neutral, warm leaning tones to cool leaning tones. I can definitely see a lot of fun looks out of this, so we'll be keeping this one for sure because I haven't even got to use it in a Shop My Stash or on my eyes yet, so of course we're going to keep it. And we have a few Nomad palettes. So this is the Nomad and Royal Europe palette. Again, they have really great packaging too. And Nomad is like a travel-based brand, so usually they have some sort of theming around travel. So this one was all European. What is it called? Royal Europe. So like a lot of the castles and things like that. Really fun color story. Again, a little bit difficult to use this as a full color story for me personally, because all of the tones are kind of like mid-tone, so they don't really range too much from light to dark, but really pretty. I love the embossings, and they do have a whole row of duochromes at the bottom. And I said it in my past videos about Nomad. Their shimmer formulas are quite interesting. They're almost like self-adhesive. I noticed they just have like a little bit of a tack to them, which makes me really enjoy them. Then we have another one from Nomad. This is the Ghost Town USA. This was also featured in my Halloween palettes. And it's just a really pretty cool tone with warm tone mixtures. Just really nice. So this one will be staying. Then getting into my Glamlight Halloween themed palette. So starting off with the original Scooby-Doo ones that they did. They have two collections of this. So this one was the original one that they came out with for Halloween. And then I think another Scooby-Doo one they came out with. It wasn't necessarily like Halloween themed. It just was like Scooby-Doo themed. But the first one is the retro raggy one, and very kind of fun green, blue, purple type of mixture. You know, more of these like, it kind of reminds me of like a Halloween laboratory kind of setting. I don't know why it makes me think of that, but it does. So there was that one. And then we have the Creeps and Crawls, which is more of this kind of like witchy type of vibe. So both have really great quality. Again, haven't gotten a whole lot of use out of these though, because of just the color stories in general. I'm not walking around with blue and purple eyes all the time. Sometimes I wish I was, but I just don't have that much time in the morning to kind of be creative. Hence why I always go to like a neutral leaning crease and like a sparkle, because that's all I can muster in the morning. But I am going to keep these because I do enjoy the color stories. So you might notice that some of these palettes I may not get the most use out of, but I love the color stories and it brings me joy. So that's why I keep them. Then we have Friday the 13th. This is the Camp Crystal Lake palette. This is when they came out with like a barrage of Halloween based palettes, like Ghostface and Freddy Krueger and Halloween and all that kind of stuff. But I kept the packaging of this one because it's like a VHS tape. And the palette is really great too. So Glamlight likes their lenticular packaging, and this is what the palette looks like on the inside. Really love it, great quality. So I will definitely be keeping it. So I have finally finished one tub, but don't worry, we have one more tub to go through, but I do want to put all this back so I actually have room. So let's do that together. All right, so that concludes this box. We've definitely made some room. Now let's get on to the other box. All right, so this box is my big hitter. This is more of like my really large palettes. And as you can see, things used to kind of fit really nicely in here and now they don't. So let's go through these and hopefully we can get rid of some. So let's start off with my melt palettes. So I told you there'd be more melts, and I have quite a few of them, and I need to probably get rid of some of them because I just don't think the quality is there anymore. Like I said earlier, sometimes the shimmers are better than the mattes or vice versa, but I have noticed that the shimmers in some of these palettes have not been performing very well. Like the base of them that kind of made them, I don't know, adhesive, that made them cohesive, like doesn't exist anymore, and now it's just like glitter particles, and it wasn't like that before. So I kind of want to do some swatch testing of these and see if the shimmers are still up to par. So first one is their brunette palette. This actually purchased from you for me. So I usually do a lot of sending in items to be resold, but I actually did make a purchase, and this is one of them. And so, shocking, it's a neutral palette. But this one is really pretty. I just haven't gotten a lot of use out of it. So, but I probably should. And I might give this another shot, but first let's do some swatch testing. So that still seems to be in working order, does it? Are these just like poor shimmers to begin with? No. Okay. So it just needs a little bit of building up, but let's try that one. These just aren't very impactful. Maybe I don't want this palette. Okay, because I haven't given this a fair shot, I'm gonna keep this palette for this go around. Maybe next year it might be Declutter, but I do want to try to get some use out of it, and I think the color story is pretty. It's neutral, but it's pretty. The shimmers don't seem to be working the best, but again, maybe the mattes. Maybe this is one of those palettes that the mattes are just better. Yeah, see, that's a good matte. So I just gotta listen to my own recommendations, my own advice about things. All right, so we are gonna keep that one. Then we have both Gemini palettes. These are actually their, this Gemini palette is the re-released one because when they came out with the Gemini 2, they made the packaging kind of similar. So here is the Gemini 1, kind of this warm and green tone color story. It is very pretty, but let's do a quick test of things. That seems like it's gonna, oh yeah. See, there's that like kind of chunky seems like a bad word, but like adhesive, stick to your ribs type of formula. So that one still seems to be in good order. I've also heard and seen some melt palettes like be moldy from some people. So I do want to do like a quick review of that too and make sure none of these palettes have gone bad. But so far I'm going to keep that one as well. Then we have the Gemini 2 palette, which this one is a little bit more on the rosy type of side with some peaches and some other greens. And that is an example of it going moldy. Okay. You see that? That's moldy. And I got these at the exact same time. So that's gross. Let me do another. I'm gonna have to really inspect these. I don't see anything wrong with this one, but that one is gross. So we're going to get rid of that. How sad. How sad. I didn't think it would happen. I mean, I knew it existed, but I didn't think it would happen to me. And it did. All right, so we really have to go through these. So this one is Smoke Sessions. This actually was my first melt palette. Kind of this fun green with some gold. Looking it over, not seeing anything. Let's swatch this mean green one because maybe that will be, oh, yep, that's gonna be in place of that Erd palette. Let me get that Erd palette and we'll swatch them side by side. So I fished out the Erd palette. Now let's swatch these two. So mean green, and then this one is luxury. Let's see, no, it's not the same. Okay. Erd Stays. I thought I was getting it out, but this one has a little bit more black base to it with like a green, almost green gold sparkles, and then this one is more teal emerald based. This one, what am I gonna do with this one? Let me check the mattes. The mattes seem to be okay. I mean, again, this is an example where the matte isn't super great in my opinion, but it still seems to be in working order, so we're gonna keep it. All right, moving forward, these two are the Vita and Milk palette from the did the collection have a name? Like Eternal Love, something like that. But basically they came in a collection, and you have the Vita side, you have the Morta side. These were very sought after palettes to the point that people were reselling them for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, even used, busted, crusty palettes, because they were so pretty and they were just such a collection. And so they actually re-released these probably about 2 years ago, and I was able to get my hands on it because I was not about to pay $300 for these palettes. But I do love the artwork in them. I love the essence of them. I just don't use them that often or at all. So this is the Vita side. So again, definitely more of this like a more Eterno. I think that's what the collection was called. Definitely more of the light side, the bright side, Vita meaning life. And this is supposed to celebrate like Mexican heritage, so Dia de los Muertos. So all of the colors and the naming imbibes all of that. So this is definitely a matte heavy palette. So let's swatch some of the mattes. I remember these mattes being like not that great. That seems pretty good though. Was I just, ooh, those are some dry shimmers. They still seem to work, but they are dry. Let's try, this one's not as dry. Not as dry, but flaky. All right, so again, these make me happy to look at them. I may not use them at all, but they make me happy, so I'm gonna keep them. And I love to keep the packaging with them too. So that's the Vita. Now let's look at the Muerte, which Muerte means death in Spanish. And that's what the packaging looks like. And if you didn't see before, I know I didn't explicitly say it. I put them together, but they make up a sugar skull. Really cute. And then this is what this color palette looks like. Again, not a color story that I use at all, but it's still so pretty, and I just love the essence of everything. So doing a quick look over, I don't think I see any molds, but let's do a quick shimmer test. So again, the shimmers aren't super great. Maybe you just have to get that first layer off because it seems like it's working better now. And then let's pick a matte. Yeah, I remember when I first got these palettes and I had originally swatched them, and I swatched this one in particular, and I actually wrote Mel. I was like, hey, I don't know if I got like an old palette or something, but these are they're not performing very well. So they were very kind enough to send me a replacement palette. And from what I remember, because it was a few years ago that I got these, they seem to be performing a little bit better, but still not the best performance. The quality of these I feel like has improved, but it's not the best. So I'm gonna keep that one because of the collection part of it, and I do like it. This is one, their Halloween Town. This came in another collection, so they have the Halloween Town and they have Christmas Town. So this is in collaboration with Nightmare Before Christmas. This one is good melt quality. This is very good melt quality. Really do enjoy this. Again, a color story that I'm not using all the time, but it still makes me very happy. So I will be keeping it. Let's do a quick shimmer test. That seems to be working. And a quick matte test. Still seem to be working. So I am going to keep this one. This was also featured in my Halloween palette ranking. Now we move forward to Mary Jane. Mary Jane palette actually might have been my first melt palette. I was thinking it was Smoke Sessions. Maybe it was Mary Jane. So this had been in a pile of products that I thought I was going to get rid of because of the shimmer. The shimmers didn't seem to be performing as well, so it kind of just got put off to the side for a really long time. But I want to do a shimmer test. I want to double check because this color story is beautiful. It's a really beautiful palette. It's neutrals. It's neutrals and shimmers. What can I say? So let's swatch it out. See, this is the one I was telling you about. This Mary Jane shade is literally just, oh, look at that, like breaking apart. Are the other ones like that too? Yeah, they're just breaking apart. Okay, I gotta get rid of this palette. Oh, that was so pretty. It's just, yeah. All right. Bye, Mary Jane. We had good times. We have a fresh arm waiting for some more swatches. So keeping this moving forward. So our next batch of products, this first one is from Unearthly Cosmetics. This came in one of the mystery boxes. I can link that. I don't need to link it. It'll only be in my makeup swatching video that I've already linked, so I don't need to link it again. But this one is my only palette from Unearthly, and it's a very vibrant palette, but from what I remember, it was great quality. And because it's my only palette from this brand, this is a brand that I want to try out more of, but because it's my only palette and it's fun, it's good quality, I am going to keep it, even though I might not get a lot of use out of it. Speaking of not getting a lot of use out of, but probably going to keep, this is the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shop palette. So I have the pistachio and bubblegum. These came in two other shades as well. There was I think like a cherry one, and then I forget what the other one was. These don't exist anymore, and actually pretty highly sought after. I don't know if they still are, but you might be able to get them on the resale market. But look at that. It's all blues. It's all blues. Because it's all blues, and this is really one of the only blue palettes I have. Blue is not my favorite color to wear on my eyes, but I do think it is pretty. This is another one of those palettes that just brings me a lot of joy. But let's do a quick swatching. Okay, so that still feels really nice. Still performs really well. Let's look at the mattes. Okay, so it still seems to be in working order, even though I don't use it. And it's a color story that I know probably won't get a lot of use out of, but I still like it. It still brings me joy, so I'm gonna keep it. And then we have the pistachio one, which is the green version. Ooh, I see another green in here. Let's see. The green that I've been trying to dupe, but I don't think it's the same. The other one had a little bit more gold in it, but still working really well. Let's look at one of the light mattes. Performs really well. So may not get a lot of use out of it, but I'm gonna keep it. Do you have any palettes in your collection that you just love to look at? You know, you're probably not gonna use them except on a very rare occasion, but they just bring you so much joy that you keep. Let me know down below. I wanna make sure I'm not the only one here. Moving forward with my Sigma collection. So I do have a few from Sigma. The first one being the Little Mermaid. This will be in that swatch video as well. So I did pick up a few things from the Little Mermaid collection. One of them obviously being the eyeshadow palette. Really pretty. This, from what I remember, it swatched pretty well. The color story is really nice. I like how it imbibes the movie, the beautiful like purple tones and blue tones, and then we have some of these like fiery neutral tones. So really pretty. I keep it in the box because I haven't used this on my eyes yet. Yes, I've had it for quite some time and have not used it on my eyes, and that needs to change. So hence why I need to go through these palettes to get to declutter some of them so I can show some others some love. My next one is the Sigma Enchanted palette. That's what this one looks like. Again, a really pretty color story. I would say Sigma does not have my favorite quality of eyeshadows. They still perform pretty well, but it's not my favorite. But I still like this color story enough to keep it. So we'll keep that. Then we have the Ambiance palette, which is pretty much all warm tones. So again, when warm tones decide to come back around, I'll be ready for it. Then we have the Alice in Wonderland palette, another kind of fun Disney collab that I'm going to keep. There is one Sigma palette that I kind of want to get. It's the Cool Neutral palettes. Not only does the color story, I like the color story. Again, it's not necessarily cool tone, but it is more neutral tone with some cool leaning shades in it. But the packaging looks really great too. So, you know, I like me a good package. Insert joke here. All right. So here's another BH Cosmetics. This is the Los Angeles palette, and this was a pastel palette, and you know what? This just doesn't perform very well, so I'm gonna be getting rid of this one. Another BH Cosmetics palette. This is the Passion in Paris one. This one is a very pretty kind of, I don't know, like just midnight type of, I don't know, color story. I really like it. I just don't know if it performs the same anymore. So let's do our quick swatches. That seemed to be doing well. Let's do Moulin Rouge. That one still is performing. Okay, so it's still really great quality. I still love this color story. Just like very Paris-y at midnight is kind of what I was getting at. So I'm going to keep that one. Then we have a few Onside palettes. So the first one is the Soulmane 2 palette. And that is what it looks like. So kind of this blue, orangey type of palette. It is really pretty, but is this something I'm going to reach for? I don't feel like I'm going to anymore. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, some of these, oh, that performs really well. That one, wow, okay. What do I think of this one? This one's, I'm gonna put this in a maybe pile. And that hopefully means that I will use it in the near future. And if I don't use it, then that means I need to get rid of it. This one is Odin's Eye and Angelica. So Singe Beauty is her brand. Before that, she was doing a lot of collabs, Odin's Eye being one of them. This one's a really fun color story, kind of this like murky green, yellow with some pinks in it. This one still brings me joy, so I think I'm gonna hold on to this one. This one still brings me some happiness. Then we're going on to Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have two palettes. This is the first palette I got. This was the Nouveau palette. Just that warm, peachy type of tone. Let's do a swatch. Ooh, okay. Shimmers still be performing, so that's good. I think I'm gonna continue to keep this one. The quality is still great. I still love the color story. This one is the one that's on the chopping block. So this one I got in a Trend Mood box, and this is the Fall Romance palette. I love the packaging of it. It's really cool. Kind of this like faux pony hair, but it's velvet. And then you open it up, and I thought the color story was really pretty, but this performed terribly. Like everything just seemed to be so dry. Yeah, it's just like dry, and the shimmers were terrible. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. I really wish this one would have worked out because I thought the color story was really pretty, but just did not perform well. Now this is my only, let's face it, right? This is my only palette from Lunar Beauty. This is the Moonshine palette, and this definitely spoke to me when it first came out. Super beautiful color story, again, kind of this like murky, green, grungy yellows with shimmers and these like pops of like cool tones in there. So nice. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. So now we're going to go through my little bit larger ColourPop sized palettes. So we have the Gather Round Sisters from Hocus Pocus. This was their first collaboration with Hocus Pocus. I think they have 2 other ones, but I didn't get the other ones. I liked this one and I stuck with it, and I will continue to stick with it. It's such a beautiful color story. We have Garden Variety. Love this packaging, this like succulent packaging. I live in Southern Arizona, so anything like cacti, succulents, anything like that, I love. It is a really pretty color story as well. Still kind of leaning on this like peachy side with some purples and this like little green. Does this green still perform? Kind of. Yeah, it does. But do I need to keep this one? This one actually, I'm looking at it, although it's pretty, I don't think I need to keep this one anymore. Which is a surprise. I, again, didn't think that I would be doing that, but yeah, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that one. Next up, we have the At Foresight. This is a Raw Beauty Kristi collab. I don't know what's going on with Raw Beauty Kristi. I've kind of stopped watching her channel. There was a little bit of controversy surrounding her and some other things, so I just kind of stopped watching. But this is a really pretty color story. Now, let me pull out this other one. I think the Lunar Beauty Moonshroom one, hold on, I gotta do this 2 hands. And this one are very, very similar. If I can try to get them in focus, and they're very similar in a sense. I think the quality of this one is better, but I also love the color story of this one. This one has a few more colors that this one does not. So it's by no means are they actually dupes for each other, but they definitely have similar vibes. Even the theming of like mushrooms and stuff like that is very similar. But let's do a swatch test of this. It still performs really well. Let's do dark one. Still really performs well, and although I may not totally agree with Raw Beauty Kristi and whatever is going on with her, I already own the palette and I still think it's really pretty. It's definitely not available anymore, so I'm not out there promoting it because it's not available. But I think I'm gonna keep that palette. Moving forward with our Wild Nothing palette, again, kind of that beautiful cacti look. This one is a very nice wearable peach palette. You're not going to get super different looks with this. It's just one of those palettes that they all kind of look the same with a little bit of a different texture, but I still really enjoy this one. So I'm gonna keep this one more year. It might change next year, but I'm gonna keep it one more year. Then we have our Not a Box of Chocolates. This is the very neutral leaning palette from them, and I loved the embossings of everything, so it kind of looked like it actually was a box of chocolates. And I'm looking at this, and although it is pretty, I'm just not in love with it. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. Then we have our Side by Side Nude palette by Nabla. So I know they recently just came out with like the baby Side by Side one. I don't know if it's the same shades. It's like a 9-pan palette, so I don't know if it's existing shades or different shades. This one still brings me joy. Like, this is still a neutral palette that I enjoy. Again, let's do a quick check on things. Seems to be in order. Yeah, those all seem to perform really well. Let's get a matte in there. That one seems a little dry, but still seems to work. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this one. And then your eyes are not fooling you. If you watched my last year's declutter, I'm pretty sure I decluttered this and then decided to keep it, thinking what Tati was gonna do with things. I thought she was gonna come out with like a different volume, but this is like the OG Tati Beauty Volume 1 when we were thinking there was gonna be multiple volumes of things. So this was a very unique very unique concept. Color story, not unique, but the concept was. So what she did is that she had 3 colors, but in different formulas. So we had the matte formula, a sequin, a metallic, and a glitter. And that was it just seemed really neat. And at the time, you know, Tati was like #1. So I wanted whatever she was selling. And so I picked it up. I thought it was really great. And then I just stopped using it and I stopped watching Tati. She's kind of gotten a little bit like not my vibe anymore. So I'm going to declutter this. It seems like she kind of has something up her sleeve that she might be coming out with more things, but I'm kind of over it at this point. So I am going to declutter this one for sure. All right, before we get into this huge stack of Natasha Denona, I have a One Beauty Bay palette. This is their Wilderness palette. Again, this no longer exists, but this one was a really fun kind of just earthy type of palette. You know, we have the blues, the greens, kind of the oranges for foliage and reds, and just like a somewhat of a rainbow palette, somewhat not. It's definitely missing colors from the rainbow, but just was a really, really nice color story. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think I need this anymore. It's pretty. I mean, that green, the shimmers still performs. It's not, I don't need it anymore. So we're gonna let it go. I didn't expect that one either. I'm kind of just letting them decide for me when I open it. Not going with any pretenses of anything. All right, so moving on to my very large Natasha Denona stack. I don't have all of them, but I have quite a few of them. Starting off with the Hyper Natural Face Palette. So this came out not this year, but was it last year? Was it this year? Again, time is just a social construct and doesn't really mean anything anymore. I don't remember when this came out. I know it's in my swatching video, so you can definitely see more about it. And this is a face palette. So you have your bronzers, your blush, and then you have your just shimmer shades. So this was hypothetically meant for that person who, you know, likes one thing to do their whole face. You know, so you have your bronzers, your blushes. Ideally, these could be used as like eyeshadow bases and creases and stuff like that. And then you have your shimmers. It is a nice palette, but the bronzers, it's just like, okay, you know, like it's not that great. The blushes are just okay, not that great. These shimmers are nice. They are. But they're just okay. Everything's just okay. And because it's just okay, I think I'm okay letting go of it. So we're gonna say goodbye to that one. Next up, we have the I Need a Warm palette. This will also be in that swatching video. Again, kind of not necessarily like super warm, some warm leaning colors, but more, I'd say more on the neutral side. This performs really well. You're not going to get a whole bunch of different looks from this, but it is really pretty. It is a really pretty neutral palette, and I am going to keep it. We have the Yucca palette, which I think has some of the most versatility, or not, yeah, versatility, range. Maybe range is a better word for it. Has more range compared to some of these other neutral palettes she's been coming out with, just because it has more colors. It's not this monochromatic color story. It has some greens, it has some grungies, it has some you know, lime greens. It has all these different shades that you can actually create different looks with it. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. Let's do a quick shimmer test. Oh, that's one of those cream to powders. Sorry. I'm like, where's the shimmer? It's a cream to powder one. Okay, that's why there's no shimmer in it, but it still seems to perform well. We have the bronze palette. Haven't had too much time with this one. And again, I don't think you're going to get a whole bunch of different looks with it, but I still think it's pretty, and I still am not ready to get rid of this one. So we're going to keep that one. Here's that golden palette I was talking about. So there was the original gold, and then they reformulated it to golden. And again, really pretty neutral palette. Not gonna get a whole bunch of looks out of it, but I'm still gonna keep it. Then we have the retro palettes. So if we remember what the mini looked like, and it had some like greens and some light pinks in it, kind of peachy pinks. No, this is retro. This is what they came up with. I don't really think that they go well together. I love this palette, but it doesn't scream retro like the mini retro, which came out first. But I still really like this one. You know, she has some different formulas in here, the cream to powders, the shimmers, yada, yada, yada. So I am going to keep this one. I have the Love palette. I haven't gotten much use out of this one either, but again, it brings me a lot of joy. And I think the pinks and the reds, I didn't keep a lot of pinks and reds in my collection, so this is one I am going to keep because I want to get more use out of it. I think I could come up with some really pretty looks. Then we have the I Need a Nude palette. Really pretty. Again, really pretty palette. Neutral tones. You're not going to get a whole lot of different looks. Like, this is just a repetitive motion, right? Or a repetitive statement. But it's still a nice palette, so I'm going to keep it. Then we have the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. So this one looks more like the mini retro palette. And I got this in a subscription box, and because I wanted to kind of like complete my collection of Natasha Denona. But when I open it up, I just don't love these colors. I don't love these like minty colors. It's meh. That's all I think about it. So I am going to declutter this one, and it's new in box, never been used, so that can be resold. Then we have the Glam palette. This was my first Natasha Denona palette, and you'll see that some of these are not in the correct order because I dropped it. Yeah, I dropped my first Natasha Denona. Luckily, nothing broke, but some of the shadows did pop out, so I just kind of put them back, not even thinking about it, but I just put them back. So your palette might look different than mine, but this is an OG for sure, so I will be keeping it. And then we have the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. And again, this is just one of those color stories that I don't really love. I find it really difficult to create a cohesive look with this, so I am going to get rid of this one. I didn't think I'd be getting rid of, how many? 4 Natasha Denona palettes? Wow. And then moving into my last stack of palettes. So this is the Cosmic Beauty, formerly Cosmic Brushes palettes. I have almost all of them. I don't have the Winter Wonderland one, and I don't have the Gothic one, and then I don't have the newest 'Tis the Season one. I do have this one. This one came in the mystery box, so if you don't want to see what's in the mystery box, if you got it for yourself, I think everybody should have, if you've purchased it, you should have gotten it by now. But if you haven't, avert your eyes for a little bit. But this is the Sinister palette that they came out. It did come in a mystery box, and it's very kind of Halloween-y themed. And you know what? I did kind of in that video, I talked about how it gave me vibes of the Love palette a little bit. So I didn't have them at the time to put them head to head. Kind of. So obviously the reds and the purples, but this one is a little bit more warm tone, I feel like, compared to this one being a little bit more cool tone. It's a really pretty palette. Again, they said in this particular palette, like, creatives in mind, that it was not a neutral palette or anything like that, so curiosity always gets me, so I wanted to get it. It's not something I'm going to use all the time, but it is pretty. I laughed when I saw this shade Ghost. So this is actually like a little bit of a jelly right here to put on your eye, like eye goop, to make them pop, but that is just going to be, I feel like, a mess on my eye with oils and stuff like that. But this is a really pretty palette. It's just not a palette that I'm going to be using all the time, but I will be keeping it. This is the Delicious Delights palette. This is such a fun poppy color story. I really love how Cosmic Beauty, they just have a really great formula. Both their shimmers, their mattes have great formulas. They have a lot of different types of like formulas to begin with. So they have shimmers, duochromes, multichromes, you know, satins, things like that. So really do enjoy this. Then we have the Muse palette. This one is a little bit more on the like mid-tone range of stuff. Again, really pretty. Not my absolute favorite one from them, but still a really, really pretty palette. Here's another green. Apparently I'm just gonna swatch all of the greens. Yeah, still doesn't match up to that Erd palette, but okay, it's still pretty. So we will be keeping this one. We have the Serenity palette, which this one is the one that like broke the internet. Just a really unique color story. Really fun poppy type of color story. Again, that performs super well, and they're actually really affordable too for being an indie brand and having such great quality. Most palettes retail for like $30 to $40. I mean, I know that's still a lot, but for indie brand and you're getting such a big palette, I feel like that's a pretty good price. So we have that one. We have neutrals, and I should say a lot of these palettes are going to be in that makeup swatching video, so if you're curious, they'll be there. The neutrals palette, again, leaning more on the nude side of stuff. A nice fun take on neutrals because it's not all like neutral tones. Like you still have some like tone variation in there, but really fun. We have Cool Trolls. So again, kind of more this like gray, purple, blue moment. And then this one is my favorite one. This is the Undergrowth. This is relatively new as of this year and also in that swatching video. So it comes to the greens. We did it, y'all. We went through my whole collection. We decluttered quite a few. We kept even more, but let's organize this last little bin and then we can look at everything in comparison. All right, so I don't know if I absolutely love how I organized everything, but it fits. So that's the important part. We don't have things like overlapping each other at all. We actually have space to put things. So that is a winner in my book. But let's do a quick recap of everything that I kept and then everything I got rid of. Alrighty, so trying to give you a full view of everything that we kept. My larger palettes, this is my smaller palettes. Now let's see everything we decluttered. And this is a whole bucket of eyeshadows that I decluttered. So let's quickly count them up so I can give you a total. 42 things that we have decluttered. Now, not all of them are eyeshadows. We do have a few like eyebrow products, but what did I say, 42? We're gonna stick with 42 because I can't literally remember the number I just said. But 42 items that hopefully will go off to better homes. Obviously the melt one that has mold in it will be thrown away. But the other stuff I will let other people see if they want it or not. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. We have room for growth in my in my bins, so that's always a nice. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Let me know down below, did I keep your favorite palette? Did I declutter it? What is your favorite palette? Do I now own it? Do I need it? Let me know all the things. And with that, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.